Hi, this is Murray from Second Time Tech, and today we'll be talking about 3 different microphones, and here they are right here. And so basically what I have is a Behringer B-5, which is this one, the MXL 606, which is this one, and then this one is the one I've been using all the time now, and that is the Neewer NW-7000. So basically what I wanted to do was, I heard about this microphone, the B5, and I wanted to give it a try because I heard that it's very quiet compared to some of the other ones. And so I decided to give it a go and see what it sounded like. So basically what I did was I set it up the same way as I did the last, I think, 2 times, And basically what I did was I measured each microphone, how far it was away from my mouth, and they're between 21 and 22 inches. And then I took a tone generator and I put it about where my mouth is, and I set up my voice at minus 12 dB. And then I set the tone generator to minus 12 dB and made sure that the NW-7000 was getting both at exactly minus 12 dB. And then I set up the B5 to go to minus 12 dB at the same level of tone on the tone generator, which is 1 kilohertz. And then I did the same thing to the MXL 606. So that they'd all be the same volume. Right now I am talking on the Behringer B5. So now what I'll do is I'll do the same thing as what I did the last time. I will talk on the microphone that I'm talking about. So I'm on the B5, so we'll talk about the Behringer B5. Now, these 2 microphones have 3 different names for them, and they all basically mean the same thing. It's called a pencil condenser microphone, or it's called a small diaphragm condenser microphone, or it's called an instrument condenser microphone. They all mean the same thing, basically. So it depends on what the manufacturer wants to call them, I guess. Because to me, they look exactly the same. They look like a pencil, and you talk in to the end of them because they're end address. So you talk into the very end of them, there or there. And these microphones here, the NW-7000, they're what's called side address, because you're not talking into the end of it, which would be there. You're talking into the side of it. Kind of makes sense. But I just thought I'd clear that up in case anybody had any questions on why I'm using an instrument mic or a small condenser microphone, or whatever name that they want to call it of the 3 that they normally call it. I've even heard them call it another name too, and I can't quite remember what it was. Maybe it was small condenser microphone. Can't remember. So you gotta take that kind of with a grain of salt. That doesn't mean that they're not good for voice. It just means that they aren't made for it, but it doesn't mean that it can't do it. Just remember that. So now we'll talk about the Behringer B5 again, and I will tell you the specifications on it. It is a condenser microphone. It has 2 capsules that come with it. One's a cardioid polar pattern, and one's an omnidirectional polar pattern. Now, the one that's on it is the cardioid, and that's the way it comes from the manufacturer. And that's the one that you want to use for doing what I'm doing right now. Now, the diaphragm size is 18 millimeters or 0.71 inches. The frequency response is 20 hertz to 20 kilohertz. The maximum SPL is 140 dB, and that's when the switch is set to 0 dB for the pad. The signal to noise is 78 dB, and the self noise is 16 dB. They are not A-weighted. That's what they are. The low cut filter or high pass filter means the same thing, is at 150 hertz and it's 6 dB per octave. Now, the pad is a minus 10 dB pad. So that means that if you put that in, the maximum SPL will go up to 150 because it'll add that 10 dB onto it. The connector is a gold-plated XLR, and the weight of it is 0.21 pounds. So now we'll switch to the MXL 606. There, now we're on the MXL 606. And we will bring up the specifications for that. And we will say that the capsule size is 22 millimeters, which is 0.87 inches. The frequency response is 30 hertz to 20 kilohertz. It's got a cardioid polar pattern. The output impedance is 150 ohms. The equivalent noise is 17 dBA weighted. The signal to noise ratio is 77 dBA weighted. The maximum SPL at 0.5% total harmonic distortion is 137 dB. There is a pad on it, and it's a minus 20 dB pad. And so that means that it would actually bring up the maximum SPL to 157 dB effectively. Power requirements is 48 volts phantom power plus or minus 4 volts. And the weight of it is 0.25 pounds. And that's for the MXL 606. So now we'll go to the Neewer NW-7000. Now, I'm on the NW-7000. And the specifications for it is the polar pattern is called unidirectional, which is basically a cardioid polar pattern. Frequency response is 20 hertz to 18 kilohertz. The sensitivity is minus 34 dB. The output impedance is 150 ohms. The load impedance is 1000 ohms. The self noise is 16 dBA. The maximum SPL is 134 dB at 1% total harmonic distortion. And this one does not have a pad, so it stays at 134 dB. The signal to noise is 78 dBA. And the phantom power requirement is either 5 volts or 48 volts. They actually all require phantom power. So does the Behringer. It doesn't say it, but it does. pretty much any condenser microphone needs power, phantom power, or a battery, or 5 volts, or I can't remember, there's another name for a voltage that goes in, that comes from the camera, but I can't remember what the name is. But these microphones all have electronics inside of them, so they need to be powered, and that's why they all need to have some type of DC amount running to them, and you have to look at the specifications to know what you need. So that's basically it for the specifications. So now, like I did the last time, I will say a tongue twister, and the first one I'll do is the Behringer B-5, and then the MXL 606, and then the Neewer NW-7000, and I will not talk in between them. A tutor who tutored a flute tried to teach 2 young tutors to toot. Said the tutor to the tutor, "Is it harder to tutor, or to tutor 2 tutors to toot?" A tutor who tutored a flute tried to teach 2 young tutors to toot. Said the tutor to the tutor, "Is it harder to tutor, or to tutor 2 tutors to toot?" A tutor who tutored a flute tried to teach 2 young tutors to toot. Said the tutor to the tutor, "Is it harder to tutor, or to tutor 2 tutors to toot?" I learned that in grade 4 or grade 3. Can't remember. Long time ago. So now what I will do is I will say that little limerick that I learned in grade 3 or 4. Can't remember. And I will not talk in between, and I'll do the same order. The B5, the 606, and then the NW-7000. There was an old man from Peru who dreamt he was eating his shoe. He woke in the night with a terrible fright and found it was perfectly true. There was an old man from Peru who dreamt he was eating his shoe. He woke in the night with a terrible fright and found it was perfectly true. There was an old man from Peru who dreamt he was eating his shoe. He woke in the night with a terrible fright and found it was perfectly true. There. Now, that is what I have on the testing of these microphones. I was listening to them, and I like the Behringer B-5. It does have the least amount of noise, and I do find that's got a bit of a high end on it, but I can adjust that a little bit with my equalization. So I think that's going to be the mic for me. But I'll listen back to this one before I make my choice for sure, because maybe I might have done something a little different and now it sounds a bit different. So I'll keep that in mind. That's all I have for today. If you like the video, thumbs up. If you don't like the video, thumbs down. If you like the content, then please subscribe. I want to wish everybody a wonderful day. Thank you very much for watching and listening. Bye.